Good morning, Triumph. It's Elizabeth here. I think it might be a little bit echoey. I'm broadcasting from what will eventually be my new office, but is right now just empty and full of boxes. But I think it should be okay. So I'm gonna move a little bit closer here. And let's see, I know most of you are prepping for Super Saturday, so I will be recording this call. And just want to make sure that everything looks good. Okay, well, we're live, and I want to thank you guys for jumping on the call with me this morning. And I promise to keep this short. 20 minutes is my goal because I know it's Saturday morning. You guys have a ton of things to do, so I so appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys making a sacrifice for me. I typically don't do team calls because I just know how valuable your time is, and I know that there's so much information. I know that there are so many calls out there. So I usually would like to, direct you to these other calls, but I also really want to give a time for the team to connect and, share things that are maybe going on in their businesses. So without further ado, so that we can keep this under our 20-minute window, I'll just go ahead and jump right in. I have my notes so I can stay on point. And I just want to welcome you to the first team call of 2016. Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a great 2015. I hope your holidays were wonderful. I hope they were restful. And now for a lot of us, it's time to think about getting restarted, plugged back in with our business. And, typically if that's the case, it also means that it's time to get replugged back in with our fitness as well. Because if you're on point with your fitness, if you've got a journey, if you're staying up with your workouts, it's just a no-brainer that you're going to be sharing that and you're going to be working your business that way. So for those of you who have said to yourself or to me or to your other success partners or your other upline coaches, yeah, I really need to get my business back up and going. This call, the first point of this call is for you. And the first step to do if you're really ready to recommit to your business is to get back into your fitness program. Like I said before, if you have let your fitness go, if you're not making progress, you do not have a business. And I see it sometimes where, we're so excited, we bring people into this business, and maybe this is something that we can do better as sponsoring coaches, where people get excited with their results and they start sharing that and they start building a business and they get so wrapped up in helping other people achieve their goals as they forget they have goals that they need to be meeting too. And I'm not just talking about weight loss, because if you're already at your goal weight, there are still things that you can be doing to improve. You can talk about, training for races. You can talk about your running times. You can talk about, maybe your yoga practice. You can be sharing things that you're doing to make yourself improve through Shakeology and our programs each and every day. And, I saw one coach posted a picture of herself that she had done. She had finally achieved the full king pigeon pose, and this is a person, like, talk about a non-scale victory. It was a beautiful picture. It was a beautiful example of how you can share your journey in a way that isn't just about weight loss. And that's for my friends who don't need to lose weight. But for those of my friends who still have progress to make in that weight loss journey, you must be making that consistent progress. If you're not making that consistent progress to share on your wall, then you are necessarily going to have to be leading with the products instead of your story, instead of your journey. And that's selling. That's just putting stuff up on Facebook and hoping that somebody will bite. Nobody's going to do that. And we tell you that over and over and over, that we're not selling things. We're not leading with the products. We're leading with our journey. We're leading with our story. We're leading with what the products have meant to us and the change it's made in our lives. No change, no business, okay? So for those of you who need to get recommitted, focus on that change first. Focus on yourself. And don't just jump back in with the challenge group and expect that you're going to have, 10 people in there buying challenge packs from you. You're going to have to pay your dues. You're going to have to run that free, clean eating group. You're going to have to run that free, challenge group where you guys are, just kind of touching base with your own workouts. And, for my new coaches also, those free groups are a great way to start building credibility. When and I am very guilty of this. If I'm telling you something, it's because I have done it. And so often when we start, as coaches, we just throw out there, I'm a Beachbody coach, come join my challenge group, come do all these things. Well, why? Why would I do that? What have you done to show me that you have credibility as someone who can lead and inspire me? You build that credibility, you pay your dues by doing those free groups, okay? I talked briefly about how if you don't have a journey to share, if you don't have progress, if you're not being a product of the product, then you are necessarily going to be spamming your network with just popping up pictures of you drinking Shakeology and links and things like that. And it's just spamming and selling, and it's not really communicating to anyone why these things are meaningful to you. And one of the number one things, the number one frustration I have with new coaches is that they are so good at telling people about these amazing programs and the things that they have done, but they lead so much with the product that they leave themselves out of the equation. Does that make sense? So for example, if, most of you know me after my weight loss, although some of you did meet me when I was pregnant and you guys thought I was real big. Nope, that was just a baby in there. But, for example, like let's say that you knew me in college, right? And I was pretty heavy for a short girl. I was almost like 170 pounds at one point, okay? I like my brownie sundaes, my curly fries from Denny's. And, let's say you knew me then, and then you meet me now, and you ask me, Elizabeth, what have you done? You clearly, like, not just weight, like, you're stronger, you're fitter, like, what did you do? And I start talking about Beachbody, and I start talking about Shakeology, and I start talking about I did Shooting Extreme, and then I did Paleo, and I did this, and I did this, and I did, it was amazing, and it was great, and oh my gosh, Insanity Max 30 is gonna blow your mind, and I'm doing Hammer and Chisel, and it's phenomenal. You know what's going to happen is I'm going to talk up those programs so much that in a week, I'm going to get a message from that person. Elizabeth, I loved what you said so much. I went to Amazon that day and I ordered it and I'm so excited. And as a new coach, that is going to crush me. It's going to disappoint me. You know what the mistake I made in that conversation was? Is I led with the product so heavily, I forgot to talk about, well, here's what I did with the program, and here's what I did with my team. And my team is the secret sauce that made those programs work. Why did Beachbody open this network up to coaches in the first place? They didn't have to, right? They found that what happened is people would order these things from an infomercial and they would sit in a box unopened for years. I do know people who've bought the original it's called Power 90. It's like the very first real program that Tony Horton came out with. 10-Minute Trainer, P90X. I know people who never used them. And why didn't they use them? Because they didn't have a coach, they didn't have a team, and they didn't have an accountability group. So when I'm talking to people about the changes made in my life, and I'm talking to people about how important these things are, I also need to tell them about me, and I need to tell them about my team. And it doesn't mean to say that you need to talk about how great you are. You can lead with your team. You can say, I did these programs, I drink this shake, I do it every day, but the real key is I make sure that I'm surrounded by people, even if it's not in person, if it's just through Facebook, I'm surrounded by people who are on this journey with me, who expect me to be walking the talk, who check in with me, who post comments when I do a good job, who support me when I'm having a bad day. And it's going to be that behavior that changes your business from son of a gun, they just bought it from Amazon, they just bought it from eBay. Not to say that that will never, ever, ever happen again, but you have to always be leading, not just with the product, but with your team and with the accountability that comes from Beachbody coaching. And I guarantee you that that is going to reduce drastically the number of people who buy the program, because otherwise it's just like you're telling somebody about some amazing product that you love and they don't realize, no, I need her, I need Jen, I need Jess, I need Teresa, I need Amy, I need them to make all this click for me. I need them to be there on my journey. I need them to be my guide. So make sure, guys, especially my new coaches, because I'm going to guarantee you this is going to happen to you, make sure that you're talking about personally your challenge groups when you're talking about these programs and how amazing they are, how life-changing they were. All right, so that's my first point. getting replugged back into your business and just making sure that you guys, my new coaches especially, avoid that pitfall in the new year, because I know how discouraging that is. I remember getting on the phone with Allie, my upline coach, and being like, you know, I had a good friend from college actually, and she went and did this. I'm like, how could she do this? And remember, I was all up in arms. About it. Like, how dare she? I was so offended and like so entitled. I'm so entitled to that sale. You know, she had to buy that from me. Really? All right. First of all, yeah, I'm, you know, hey, I never pretended not to be a jerk. I'm a jerk. And my upline coach at the time, you know, we hadn't figured out yet why people do this, but because this was 5 years ago. Now we know when people do that, it's because we are leading primarily with the program and not our challenge groups and our accountability group. But I will tell you this, even if someone has done that to you, it don't matter. It don't matter. I have star diamonds on my team. Danielle Doan is a perfect example, who did not buy their first program from me. They still went to eBay, or I think it was either eBay or Craigslist. I forget which. I think it was eBay. Just because she needed to save some money. And at the time, I actually didn't really worry about it too much because she was taking my classes and I liked her anyway, and I still like her, still love her. And I tell you what, I would take 10 more Danielle Doans who don't buy their first program from me. And this was a big aha moment for me as well. I saw a coach who's she's out in the leaders page, so she's at least a 5-star diamond coach, and she's under Danielle Natoni, who is now, I believe, a superstar coach. And she said, I went to Danielle Natoni, I bought my first program off of Amazon, and I'm so grateful that she helped me anyway, and she didn't care where I got my program. So we join this business and we talk about, I don't want to be a salesperson, and then we get so upset that we didn't get a sale. Well, which is it? You have to be consistent with your values. If you are just about helping people, then help them for the love of God, and don't worry about the money, because that's going to come when you help enough people. If you help that person get results with that program they didn't buy from you, do you think they're going to believe you about Shakeology? Do you think they're going to refer people to you? Do you think they're going to maybe join your team as a coach and they're going to drink your Kool-Aid and be an amazing member of your tribe? Then don't worry about that first sale. It's being penny wise and pound foolish. I love that phrase. All right, so the second thing I want to talk about life balance, because we've only got 7 minutes left. Hi, baby. Speaking of life balance, here's my little life balance right here. Hi. Oh, and she's got her wing boot on. I want to talk about life balance and honoring your why. And for many of us, when we're talking about our whys, I hear over and over and over again. Sorry, do you want to stand up so you can see yourself? I hear over and over and over again that we're doing this for our families. We want our families, we want our kids to have a better life. And I'm going to be really honest with you. This business has been amazing for me. I'm almost at this point, I think my husband said, I think I have exceeded his income. That blows my mind. I never intended to do that. And because I have built a business of that magnitude, I never imagined the amount of time that this would demand of me as a sacrifice. Now, I'm not saying that to scare you, because at this point, I mean, obviously when you have a substantial team underneath you, then it does demand, sacrifice. Like, you can't have the joy and you can't have the blessing if you don't, sorry, I'm just getting a message. I want to make sure someone's not telling me about a technical difficulty or something. You can't have the joy and can't have the blessing and don't expect that you have to sacrifice for it, that it's not going to demand something of you. So I've had to sit back and I've had to rethink my why and rethink my Okay. I thought that froze for a second. So I've had to sit back and think about my why and think about my priorities a little bit and think about, do I want to continue with this? Because this is not my original, thank you. This was not my original anticipation for what my work-life balance would look like. And so what I've thought about is the sacrifice of my time now worth what it's going to bring to my family in the future? And I don't just mean money, okay? Money, set that aside, because you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. You can't get time with little ones back. They grow so fast. So for me, I've had to go back and think about my why and think about what kind of sacrifice I'm willing to make. And I wrote this down because this is so important. I have to know that the time I give up now is going to be more than compensated in the future by something more significant than money. And so for me, when I first started this business, it was literally about making that bare minimum student loan payment every month so I could be a stay-at-home mom. Okay, that was about $1,200 a month, and then I needed to make like $150 credit card payment too. So, ideally $1,500 so I have a little mad money, okay? That's all I needed to make per month, all right? I make more than that a week. This is not an income guarantee. Today, I now make almost double that per week, okay? I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just telling you my original intent and where I am now, and the time that it demands from me now is so much more than I originally anticipated. But I also look at her and I think, what kind of student loan debt do I want her to have when she graduates from college? I think about what kind of burden do I want to be on her when it's time for me to retire? When I'm 90 years old, do I want her to start worrying about how she's going to pay for my, hopefully I don't need it, but if I need any kind of care or if I need to be in any kind of, residential facility or anything like that, whom do I want to burden with that? And the answer is I don't want my children to be burdened with that. That is the best gift that I can give them. Now, I'm not saying that means that I neglect them and I don't see my family at all, but I'm saying I'm willing to give up a little bit more time than I had originally anticipated because those things are so significant and they go beyond money, okay? It's security, it's planning for the future, and those are things that I've really just had to think about, and to me, that's worth it, okay? Now, for you, you really have to dial in your why, and it's okay if your why changes, and it's okay if your goals change every year. Again, when I started, I had very small thinking, and then when I started to see what was possible and literally just through focusing on helping people, not through focusing on making money, but focusing really on just being good at what I did. And the more I focused, I'll tell you this, the more I focus on growing my income, the worse I get at this business. And so I have to go back to my why. Daily, I have to die to myself. I daily have to die to myself, and I have to remember it's not about me and it's not about those financial goals. I'll tell you, you gotta be careful because there are so many people who are really successful and they're going to have you focus on those numerical goals because they're easy to quantify. You'll know when you hit them, okay? But that's the way to burn out. So if you've been working this business for a while and you're like, I cannot believe how much this is taking from my family, I would ask you to sit down and think about your why, number one. Number two, think about, okay, is what I'm making today proportionate with the sacrifice that's being demanded of me? For me, yes, it is. It is definitely proportionate. I think I would be very selfish and I would be very entitled to think that I could have the blessings that I get and not have to give something up of my day for it, okay? And so for me, most of my work that I do is at night when she's asleep, so I don't get a lot of sleep these days, even though she's sleeping better, which is great. So, and if it does mean that you're sacrificing more than you'd originally intended, that may be okay as long as the benefits more than compensate for those sacrifices, okay? So that's point number two. I would also like to say also, I know I have people who are like me and they're busy and they've got family. Be real about the time that you can really put into this business. Don't expect you're gonna put in an 8-hour day and then be disappointed when you don't. If you can only work 45 minutes, tell yourself, I can only work 45 minutes a day. Maybe on the weekends when the husband's home, I can work more. 45 minutes is the max. I work more than 45 minutes, by the way, guys, just so you know. But if you're starting out and your benefits are not really where they should be to give up big swaths of time, 45 minutes might be all you can give. I would rather you give 45 minutes than 0 minutes, okay? But if you can only give 45 minutes, you have to be laser focused during that time, and that time belongs to your business and it doesn't belong to anything else. And trust me, it's gonna creep in and people are gonna have things for you to do during that 45 minutes. If you only have 45 minutes, it belongs to your business. If you're not willing to give that 45 minutes to your business, then you're a salesperson. You're a salesperson and you're not willing to help people. And I can't help you. I can't help you build a business if you're not willing to help people on your time. Okay, tough love, mama bear moment there, but there you go. The last thing I want to talk about, because it's the end of the year and the holidays are over, and I don't know about you guys, but I kind of get a little bit of the holiday blues after like all the hoopla dies down, all the big stuff that we've been waiting for, and all the excitement and the I have to say the hardest time for me in the year comes when I have to put away my Christmas decorations. I'm depressed after that. I'm super depressed when I have to put my Christmas tree away. I didn't actually put my Christmas tree up this year, so that was good. So we're entrepreneurs. If we're running this business, we're entrepreneurs. We're gonna have real high highs and we're gonna have real low lows. And that is so normal. So please hear that again. Being an entrepreneur is like being on a roller coaster. There actually is a book called The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster, and your emotions are gonna go like this in this business. And if you're not prepared for it, if you don't expect it, it'll surprise you. And don't think you're special, because you're not. You are, but you're not, because it's gonna affect you just like it affects everybody else. So you're gonna have real high highs in this business when you achieve your goals. You're gonna have real low lows because we don't always hit them, and sometimes we'll miss those goals. Sometimes you will even have a low low when you achieve your goal. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit, because sometimes I'll talk to people and they have hit their goal, they've hit their financial goals, or they've hit their rank goals, and it's like, it's not enough. And that's very common after you've had the buildup, and then all of the excitement and the anticipation has gone away. It's like the holidays. Right? It's just like the holidays. You have all this buildup, all this hoopla, all this excitement, and then it goes away, and you're just kind of left with, nah. And I could just think back to, well, the Christmas was so amazing and it was so great, and that's a little satisfying, but there's that, it's almost like a sense of loss, because your anticipation and all of the busy things you were doing, that little part of your life, it's almost gone. And what a lot of people do is they just jump into the next goal. Okay, well then I want to make more money. I want to have a bigger rank, and I want to have more stuff. And that constant push, that constant drive for more. I know it's the way of the world. It's the way to burn out too. So I'm not saying never set another goal, but when you've achieved your goal, even if you've missed your goal, take time to sit with your feelings. Feel the feelings. Feel all of your feelings. Feel the happiness, feel the joy, celebrate. If you've missed your goal, recognize the good things that you have in your life. Really sit down, and before you start thinking about more goals, before you start thinking about your next plan of action, really just take stock of where you are. Express gratitude for your journey. Express gratitude for the people who've been on your journey. You might want to write these down, actually, if you journal, or if you do, I like to do morning pages, or I did before I had her. She's my morning page now, but I like to sit down, really ideally, three pages a day, like longhand, just writing out. Some people call it a brain dump, and talking about like what I'm grateful for. And it will help you process through those kind of difficult emotions before you're ready to kind of move on. If you haven't processed through those emotions yet, and you start making new goals, it's going to be a reaction to that feeling of lack in your life. And again, I don't want to see you guys burn out. This is a marathon. So, I don't want you guys to crash around mile 10. We're in this for the long run. So that's my 20 minutes, guys. Again, I appreciate you so much for the time sacrifice. And for those of you who are headed to Super Saturday, have a wonderful, wonderful event. And I wanted to share this quote with you guys before we close. A good journey begins with knowing where you are and being willing to go somewhere else. So I'm hoping 2016 is a time where we go somewhere else that's amazing. Thank you guys. Mwah.